Welcome in to the Quicksand TV Fireside Chat, where I'm going to be talking about the LG C3 while sitting in front of an LG C2. Now, the main point for this video is for those of you out there that have an older TV, 3, 4, 5 years old, doesn't even have to be an OLED TV, and you're getting that itch for an upgrade, and maybe you're wanting to get into the OLED space for the first time, or you're coming from an older OLED and you just want a more modern version of it. So what I want to get into is I'm going to talk about some of the things that come with the new C3, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how that compares to the LG C2. And I'm also, towards the end of the video, going to get into my speculation on a price point for the C3. And the end result, hopefully, is that it will help you have an easier time making a decision on, should I go for the LG C3, the brand new one that's coming, or should I go for a heavily discounted LG C2? And before I get into things, let me go ahead and get the usual YouTube things out of the way. If you enjoy this type of content or this video in general, please hit the like button. The like button doesn't cost you anything. It really helps out the visibility of this video. And if you end up finding it helpful in any way possible, I'd like to get the video out there for more visibility for others to also possibly find it helpful. And of course, if you're a returning viewer that's not subscribed, or if you're a new viewer here, thanks for watching this video. Consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on the bell notification so that you're notified when I do an upload. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about what you're getting with the C3. So let's begin with the sizes. The C3 is going to come in sizes of 42, 48, 55, 65, 77, and 83 inches. That's an excellent range of display sizes that should cover any sort of need a consumer would have. Love that. Of course, it's OLED technology. Here, I'm going to go ahead and hit on the biggest change, in my opinion, from the C2 to the C3 and what's different. The C3 is going to come with a brand new processor. It's the Alpha A9 Generation 6 processor. In the C2, that came with the Alpha A9 Generation 5. Now, obviously I haven't had a chance to get hands-on with the TV, put them side by side or anything like that to tell what the differences are. It could be life-altering better quality as far as image quality goes. I'm not sure, but I did want to point out that a new processing chip is coming with the TV. There's some other things that make it a little bit different here and there, like I believe they're going to have some WebOS changes as far as if you're somebody who doesn't utilize external streaming boxes and you're only going to use the streaming apps on the TV, navigating WebOS, the homepage, can be kind of tedious for somebody, especially if you're new to it. That's one thing that's going to possibly be different, but really the main thing we're talking about here, though, is if you're coming from an older TV, or if this is going to be your first new OLED, is it worth it to invest more in the brand new C3 versus what you're getting with the C2s that are out now at a heavy discount? Let me talk a little bit real quick about my speculation on the price for the C3. Now, this is for the 77-inch model, and the reason why I'm using that as an example is because the display you're looking at in front of you is a 77-inch C2. So my speculation is that the C3 price will come out at $34.99. And the reason why I think it will come out at $34.99 is the C2 came out at a very similar price, and they didn't make tremendous advancements with the technology. The display panel should be the same. You're going to get some improvement in the image quality as far as processing, things like that, but there weren't tremendous leaps in technology from the C2 to the C3. Whereas if we're talking G3, that's absolutely an advancement in technology, and I'll have another video where I'm going to make some comparisons about that TV. But for the C2, if you're unfamiliar with it, that one also comes in sizes of 42, 48, 55, 65, 77, and 83 inches. So the display sizes, you're going to have a like-for-like comparison across the board. Like I mentioned before, processing A9 Generation 5 versus the A9 Generation 6 you're going to get in the C3. For those of us that haven't had a chance to get hands-on with the C3, none of us really knows what the improvements might be in that. So let's talk a little bit about what might make the most sense for you. So you're looking at the 77-inch size. You know that you're going to have a Samsung S95C floating out there, an S90C out there, QD OLED technology. There's been a, air quotes, price leak of the S95C at 77, and that one's priced at $44.99. So you're thinking, well, my budget, I don't feel comfortable going all the way up that high for my TV investment. I'm more comfortable in the, say, $2,500 to $3,500 range. I've really narrowed this down to the C3 versus the C2. What Quicksand TV, what do you think would be the better choice? And here's how I would put it to you. Again, my speculation on the price on the C3 is going to be $34.99. You can go on Amazon right now. I'm using them as the price reference. I believe the C2 on Amazon right now is $24.99. $24.99 versus $34.99. And what are you getting? What's the difference between the two displays that would make it a $1,000 gap, price gap between the two, and would it be worth it? And my answer is the 77-inch C2 priced at $24.99 is a tremendous bargain compared to the 77-inch C3 that'll be coming here soon. And again, I feel very confident saying that without having even seen it in person, but based on what information is out there about what were the improvements or what's new about the C3 versus the C2, do I think that that merits a $1,000 price jump from what you could get a C2 for? Absolutely not. Now, if we're talking, well, my budget range can go a little further than that. I can stretch my credit line a little further. I'm not recommending that, but I can stretch my credit line a little further. I could save a little bit longer. You know, what about the G3? Would that be a consideration? My consideration would come down to a discounted C2 versus a G3. The advancements in technology and what we've seen and what we've heard about the G3 might make the price difference worth it if you're looking at it as a long-term investment. But again, this video was completely about the C2 and the C3, so I don't want to go off on a side tangent about the G3. I'm going to do a separate video about my thoughts on the G3 versus its competitors. One thing I do want to note here as we close out, I didn't mention along the way, is that the main competition for the LG, if I can talk, C-Series OLEDs is typically the Sony A80 series. And for anybody that's paying attention right now, that's researching this, knows that Sony hasn't put out any details yet, aside from maybe the processing chips that will go on those TVs. As far as, well, maybe I'm gonna wait and see what Sony does versus a C2 or a C3. We don't know really what the Sony TVs are even gonna be yet. So this video is really centered around C2 versus C3, and if you've narrowed it down to those two choices, even without waiting to see what Sony does, or consideration for a Samsung QD OLED, which one? I'm putting my money down on the C2. So that's all I had for this video. If you enjoyed anything about it, again, please slap that like button. It really helps out the visibility. And if you're new or unsubscribed, please subscribe to the channel, turn on that bell notification so that you'll be notified when I do my next upload. Until the next one.